What's up, y'all? It's Kyra and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, as y'all can tell by the title of the video, it's going to be a bit different than my normal videos. I mentioned on Instagram like how I feel like I've been doing, well, I have been cranking out tons of makeup videos for you guys, which you guys have been loving. But because I have been cranking out nothing but makeup content lately, I want to change it up a little bit for today's video and just do kind of like more of a just chill, talking, chit chat kind of video. I haven't done one of these in quite a while, I feel like. And in thinking about today's video, there was one idea that kept sticking out to me and that like kept coming to me and that I feel like I'm supposed to share and I'm supposed to create for you guys. I am almost positive it's God who's like on my shoulder like, Kyra, you need to do this. You need to just let it all go. And that video is basically just like a few things that I feel like I not only need to share and just like release, but it's things that I have never really shared or stated out loud. And I'll kind of explain why I feel like it's really important for me to do this video. So, if you guys watch my Instagram stories, you guys know how much I love Kirk Franklin. I love his music. I've been a fan since like a little one, but he recently did an interview with The Breakfast Club. It was for the launch of his new album, Long Live Love, and it was hands down one of the best interviews I've ever seen because I feel like Kirk Franklin is like, he's like the kind of Christian that like I aspire to be. You guys know I'm always preaching about authenticity and transparency and like being your real self and just being honest and blah, blah, blah. And I just feel like the older I get, the more and more I am yearning for authenticity, the more and more I need transparency. I just feel like we live in a world where everyone wants to look a certain way. Like everyone wants to be perfect. Everyone wants to pretend like they have this perfect life, like nothing's going wrong. They don't have any kind of issues. They don't have any unpopular thoughts and unpopular opinions. Like they don't think these strange things, or like even they do think these strange things, they don't think that there's much to it. And when I heard his interview, I finished it in awe because he kind of talked about everything from like religion, his faith, his trials and tribulations. He even went on to discuss abortion and just like all these different topics that in, the Christian faith are taboo. Like, you can't really talk about these things. Like, you just don't talk about it. And my husband and I, we always talk about how like, we consider ourselves like not like your traditional Christian, okay? To be clear, you guys know that me and Dion are Christians. My faith is very, very important to me. But the older we're getting, the more and more we're trying to unpack and rewire some of the things that we were taught growing up. Because a lot of the things that we were taught are things that have no biblical, foundation at all. They were just rules and things that we were just told. And I feel like the older him and I are getting, not only are we trying to just kind of rewire our thinking a little bit, but him and I are very, very proud of who we are and who we've grown to be. And also him and I are very, very, very honest people. Like we're super honest, super transparent, and we aren't about how we look and like we aren't trying to portray a certain life. We're not trying to look a certain way. Like we're just doing us and that's it. Okay, like that's literally it. And so tying it into this video, so after I heard his interview, I was like, dang, like I wish I had the courage to go on, national radio or YouTube or to the world and just say the things that I know are not popular, things that I know some people may not understand or may not agree with, but it's things that I feel like I've been holding on to that I just want to just release because I feel like I can't really reach other people if I'm not even sharing the things that I may still be ashamed of or things that I, may not want to say because of what someone else is going to think. It's just, for me, I think that this is more so this video and like why I feel like God has asked me to do this video is because I feel like this is not only therapy for me, but it's also like pushing me to my boundary. And I feel like once I just just let these things down, which are honestly not like crazy things, you guys, but they're things that, I'm not gonna lie, that I have honestly just been ashamed to say. And I saw this quote one time before, and it really stuck with me. And the quote was, "You can't shame the unashamed." Okay? So if you are unashamed of your past, things you've done, you know, things you've thought, things you've experienced, then no one else can shame you, you know, and there's no better feeling than being at peace with who you are and just being at peace with your decisions, with your actions, your experiences, and just using those to be able to propel you in your future. So this video is going to be 5 things that I have never said out loud before, but that I want to just release and move on, because I feel like once I kind of just say it, things are going to happen in my life, you know? So I actually wrote them down because I wanted to not be all over the place in this video, and I don't want it to be too long, but y'all know I am long-winded. So, okay, the 5 things. Y'all, I'm really nervous. I think I'm so nervous, and this is what I'm trying to get over, right? I think that I am so nervous because there are things that I've either been ashamed of in the past, or that I know are just not popular opinions, and that whenever I say it, people will be like, "Oh, like, I can't believe her," or like, "That's so selfish," or like, "I can't believe she feels that way," or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, y'all, like, this is real life. We all have our things, and like, this is just me. So the first one is the real reason why I'm afraid to have kids. Okay. So you guys know I have mentioned in the past about how I'm not in a rush to have kids. I'm not even close to being at a place where I'm ready to have kids. Now, let me go ahead and preface this statement by saying that, yes, I know that I can't plan everything. Yes, I know that I could very well get pregnant tomorrow. And if I were to get pregnant, like tomorrow, for example, I will deal with it. I'll be okay. I will survive. Okay? I know that. However, my husband and I have decided to hold off on having kids. And yes, I do take birth control every day. I do not miss a day, because I as Kyra right now, I just do not want them. And there are multiple reasons why. You know, I've mentioned like my fear of just having someone to take care of. Like, that's just that gives me anxiety for real. Like, I get so anxious about it. So just even the fact of taking care of a human being, that, you know, makes me fearful. Just the thought of everything changing, of course, like, people don't understand that when I say I love my life the way it is now, like, I genuinely love my life the way it is now. Like, I'm not even exaggerating, like, I genuinely love the way it is now. But yesterday, it hit me, the number one reason why I'm afraid to have children. At this point in time, again, this is like who I am today, on June 25th, 26th, whatever day it is. And it hit me because I was listening to a podcast, and it's actually my Pro-Fights podcast. It's called Carly's Couch. And on the recent episode, they had a guest. Her name was Brashay. And Brashay, I had to applaud her. First of all, I was in the car, like, just clapping for her, because she was just sharing how she felt as a mother, and like, she was not afraid to admit that she did not enjoy parenting, and she even said that although she loves her son, she still regrets that she became a mother. You don't know how much courage it takes someone to admit that. And when I was listening to her and hearing her explain like her thoughts and just her experiences, I realized that that is exactly why I'm not at the place to have kids yet. I had this fear that the moment I deliver the baby, I'm going to instantly regret it. And of course, I know people will say that that's, you know, that's selfish, that makes me a bad person, blah, blah, blah. I think for me, like, sometimes I like the idea of having a kid, but I just know that where I am right now and things that Dion and I want to do and places I want to go visit, like, I'm just not there to where I want to deal with that in a kid. Okay, now this is like Kyra having a choice. Now again, I could be pregnant right now and not even know it, but I literally feel like I would have a kid and like instantly regret it. And the one thing I do not want to do, but I know me in that I don't want to take out my regret on my child, but I can't even guarantee that I could do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can guarantee that if I had a kid and I'm like, what the heck did I just do? Like, cause I feel like I would literally be like, what the heck did we do? Like, we just ruined everything, you know? And that sucks to say it. Not even sucks to say it, because that's just me being real, y'all. But it's not a common thing to say. But I genuinely believe that that's kind of like how I would be at this point in time. And so that is exactly why, and it clicked, it was a light bulb that went off. And like, that is exactly why I'm not at a point yet to want to have kids. And like, literally not everyone wants to have a kid. And I feel like it took me until I got to like 20, maybe like 2 years ago, it finally dawned on me why people don't want to have kids. I never understood it. I never understood why someone would not want to have a child until recently. And like, it dawned on me, and I was like, I totally get why someone would not want to have a kid. Like, I get it. Like, I totally get it. Okay, next thing. This is something that is not, some people may not deem as a big deal, but me saying this out loud on camera, it is a big deal, and I'm going to explain why. So, my next thing is that I was not a virgin when I got married. And it seems like, girl, like, that's it. But people don't realize that when you grow up in a very religious household and you're taught certain things and you grow up a certain way and you're groomed to think a certain thing, you start to find yourself kind of hiding who you are and being ashamed of things that you may have done in the past that didn't live up to so-and-so standards. And this is the first time I think I've actually said it on my channel, which is, again, is not like, some people will probably be like, this girl, okay, like, that's it. But I think for me, it's not only the fact that I wasn't a virgin before I got married. I feel like me saying this out loud is such a release for me because I'm not ashamed of it. And actually, let me just say this. People, like, my friends know, I have cousins who know, like, I have talked to my little cousins openly about sex because I want them to learn from my mistakes, and I want them to avoid some things that I have seen growing up. So, like, people know, but, like, I've never told my parents, my aunts, my grandparents, basically the older people in my family, and I've never told them because I always felt like they wouldn't get it. And I feel like now, like, I'm almost 30, so I feel like at this point in time, like, I could tell them and it would be like okay, whatever, like, I'm married, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like just the fact that it took me to this point to be able to say it is sad. And it's disappointing for me because it's like, it's who I am. I've accepted my decisions a long time ago. But the fact that I felt like I had to wait until this point in time to say that out loud is exactly what I want to change in the Christian faith, okay? It's one thing that I want to change within my family. Like, me and Dion talk all the time about how we want to raise our kids and, like, what we, basically the type of environment that we want to foster within our family. And this is exactly the kind of thing that I don't want my kids to have to do or experience. Because, again, the fact that I'm almost 30 and I'm just now openly saying that, yes, I wasn't a virgin. Yes, my husband and I did have sex before we got married. No. Because, let's be real, at the end of the day, it is what it is. And I do want to note, though, that who I was 10 years ago, who I was even 5 years ago, is not even close to who I am today. And I think that that's even why I'm even more comfortable saying it, because of the fact that it's not who I am today. And I can't really fully embrace who I am today and move forward if I'm still afraid to say, oh, I had sex before I got married. I'm sure you guys know, I'm not saying this to encourage anyone out there to go out and have sex before they got married, or to think, oh, because Kyra did it, it's okay, blah, blah, blah. We all have different walks in life. I could go on a whole rant about, you know, my thoughts on it now. And I can honestly give a whole story about why I did it before. But I also know that I would not be who I am today had I not made those decisions. Next thing. Okay, this is also about faith. And this is something that Dion and I have talked about before. And it is that I actually envy Christians or just people who are, you know, strong in their faith, who were not raised in the church. Okay? And I'll explain why. So, again, I mentioned about how I was raised in a pretty religious household. You know, there were tons of things that we were taught, shown, told to do, what not to do, you know, just growing up. And don't get it twisted. Like, it's funny because growing up, I used to think that my parents were like super strict. And like, as I got older, I realized that they really weren't that strict. Like, okay, like I went to my first party in like 8th grade and they weren't playing gospel music, okay? So obviously my parents weren't that strict. However, it was, I will say that I do believe that my sisters and I were pretty sheltered. And again, a lot of what we were taught growing up, and not even just my parents, you know, this has come from grandparents, aunts, cousins, whoever. You know, we were told like, you know, what not to do, you know, what to do, what not to do, what to wear, what not to wear. You know, you couldn't listen to this, you couldn't watch this, you couldn't do da-da-da. And I feel like up until about 3-ish years ago, I felt like I was just going through the motions. With church, with God, with my faith, it was literally just going through the motions. I went to church because I felt like I needed to. You know, I dressed a certain way because I felt like I had to dress a certain way. I acted a certain way. I talked a certain way. I did things a certain way because I feel like I had to be a good Christian. Because, again, that's what we were taught. And I feel like probably about 2 or 3 years ago, I had this awakening where it was like, I felt like, I was not being true to who I was. Because, again, like, I'm not your traditional old town, you know, Baptist girl. I'm not even Baptist, but, you know, I know what I'm saying. Like, I'm not an old time, like, super churchy Bible thumper, you know, or stereotypical Bible thumper. You know, I'm not your stereotypical judgmental Christian, you know, but I just felt like I wasn't really being true to who I was. And that's when I started figuring out, okay, how can I love the Lord but still be Kyra? Because at the end of the day, it's like God made me who I am for a reason. He put me on this earth for a reason. And it's important for me to live my life authentically while still serving Him. And there is a way to do that. And I feel like for so long, there was no way to do that. And I say that I envy people who have a strong walk with Christ but weren't raised in the church, because I feel like those people came to God and to Christ and gave their life to Him on their own. Like, it was probably some moment, some experience, something that brought them into their faith on their own. And they don't have to do a lot of the unwiring that I have to do, you know? And I do feel like, even though I do plan on raising my kids, you know, in a spiritual, in a, you know, Christian household, there's going to be some balance, you know, like there's going to be a way for them to, like, I want my kids to literally love Christ. I want my kids to literally just have such an awesome relationship with Christ, less religion, more relationship. That's what I want. And so for me, now that I'm almost 30, it's like, it's important for me to keep, you know, figuring out how to live that way. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I have, and honestly still do envy. I don't know if envy is a word, but why I still applaud people who, you know, are strong in their faith but didn't really grow up in the faith, because I feel like they not only have a better balance, but they know why they're there. You know, like they know why they're doing what they're doing. You know, they genuinely want it. And while I genuinely want it myself, I'm still working to get there on my own instead of just doing things because I was told and taught to do them. Okay, y'all, number 4. Okay, this is another one that I think I've told maybe a few people, but I've never actually said it out loud. And whenever I say it, don't take it the wrong way. Like, listen to the whole thing, okay? Because this is a very, very vulnerable statement, but it's an honest statement that I am not ashamed to say at all, because this is just honestly like real tea. Like, this is what it is. Okay. The next one is that if my husband were a full-time father when we met, I do not think that him and I would be married. Okay, so again, listen to the whole thing, you guys. So you guys know I have a stepdaughter. Her name is Breland. She is a beautiful 11-year-old chocolate beauty. And I actually met her, I think she was going on 3 or she was 3. I can't remember, but she was so little. She was so cute. Oh, just adorable. And I never ever imagined myself dating a man with kids, yet alone marrying someone with kids. I think I've said it before, but I never ever imagined myself being with someone who had kids. A kid. And I remember on me and Dion's first date is actually when he told me about Breland. Oh, I know. We were actually in the car, like on the way to dinner or on the way back from dinner at some point during our first date. And he's on the phone, and I remember him saying, "I love you," or something like that. And I remember being in the car like, who was he talking to? And I asked him, I was like, who was that? And he was like, my daughter. And I was like, oh, okay. And like, it didn't like really register until I got home that he really had a kid. and he had told me her name, her age, all that kind of good stuff. And he explained that while he was, away at school, which was just 2 hours from his hometown of Tulsa, but while he was away at school, both her mom and his family were watching her while Dion and her mom were in college, because they both had went away to school. And they had both agreed to allow not agreed, but the family had volunteered to watch her while Dion went off to school and, finish his degree so he could really focus on school. And then he just commuted, literally, I think it was like every week or two, he went back to Tulsa, literally, faithfully. And I remember thinking, like, first of all, like, how I did not plan on dating someone with kids. But I loved his honesty. And so I remember that, he would, go back every, weekend or two to go visit her, hang out with her, like, just be a good dad or the best that he could be in the situation. I think that as an adult, because I know who 21-year-old Kyra was, I know that 21-year-old Kyra was not ready to play stepmom at all. Not even close, okay? I still was a kid then. I still had a lot of learning to do. I still had a lot of growing to do. And y'all, I'm sorry about the lighting if it kind of gets kind of funky in here, because the window's open and the sun's going down, so ignore the lighting. But I know who I was then, and like I was very selfish then. I know that I was not ready to play stepmom, not at all. I wasn't ready to take care of anybody else. I could barely take care of myself, get alone like another little one. And I never ever told him this then. I would have never admitted this to him then, or to anyone honestly then. But now, even like I kind of realized it a few years ago, that I could actually say it out loud, that I know for a fact that had he been a full-time dad at the point in time, and had she lived with him full-time, I don't think that him and I would be together. Not because I don't love her and because I didn't want her around, but because I know who I was then, and the person I was then, the kid I was then, like the selfish girl that I was then, like who honestly like had a lot of growing to do. I know that I was not fully ready to take on that role or responsibility. And not even saying that Dion would even push her, not even push her, but like, have me take on that role. And I do actually love her now. And that's definitely not who I am today. Like, when I got married, I was at that point. Let's be real. Like, when I got married to him, I was at the point where I was like, okay, like, I'm cool with it now. And that may sound completely selfish and may sound like I'm a terrible person, but I'm just being completely honest, you guys. Like, I met him when I was 18, going on 19. And could you imagine like 18-year-old me, like, and I'm not saying that you can't be young and be a stepmom. I'm not saying that for me, I just was not ready. But again, once I got married, I realized, that there were some deep-rooted things as far as why it was that way and why I felt that way. And like the older I've gotten, the more and more I've realized, A, why it was like that, and B, the older I'm getting, like the more and more I want her around. So it's an interesting thing to be able to look back on your life and like certain things and be like, ooh, like if this was like this, it probably wouldn't have came out, the same way. And then the last thing is actually a body image thing. And only 3 people know about this thing. My sisters and my best friend Brittany. Dion doesn't even know about this, so I'm gonna have to show him the video, kind of like just let it out. But only my sisters and my best friend know this secret, I guess you could call it. You guys know I'm always preaching about, loving who you are, blah, blah, blah. But I would be such a hypocrite if I did not admit that last year, like last fall, I actually went through like a period, probably about a month, maybe like a month or two, where I actually didn't feel like womanly enough. And I actually considered getting plastic surgery. Like I literally almost got a breast augmentation. And when I say almost got, like I literally actually went to the doctor's office, actually picked out my implant size. Like that's how close I was to getting a boob job. And for me, let me just to clarify, I am not anti-plastic surgery. I think you do what you want to do, boo. You do what's best for you, as long as it's rooted in the reasoning behind it. I think that every woman should do whatever she wants to do with her body, period. I chose not to go with it because I realized that, honestly, it was because of my husband. Not because he told me not to do it. The reason why is because I had realized that the reason why I hadn't told him is because for me, there was still a little bit of shame there. And the fact that I still even had a little bit of shame of telling my husband, like I told Dion everything, okay? And the fact that I even had a little hint of shame or nervousness in telling him, that showed me that it's not a good permanent decision. Because if I can even tell the person I told everything to, then I wasn't 100% comfortable with the decision. And because I wasn't comfortable with the decision, I refused to make a permanent decision on like a temporary emotion, because literally it was 100% temporary. That feeling lasted like a month. And then after I decided that I wasn't really comfortable with it, I hadn't thought about it since then. And that was probably October, September, August, I don't know, it's sometime in the fall. But again, it was like a month of just me feeling like it wasn't that I hated my body. And it honestly came out of nowhere. It was like I woke up one day and I think I had tried something on. And I had just wished that I had filled whatever I was wearing. I don't remember what I put on, but I had just wished I had filled it out a little bit better. Y'all see me, obviously. Y'all not blind. I am straight stick and bones. I'm so petite. I have no curves, no hips. I have small boobs. Like, I have nothing, okay? Like, God did not bless me in this area. And then one day, I just put something on and I was like, oh, like, I just did not like the way it looked on me. Like, I wish that I had filled it out, in the chest area. And I just could not stop thinking about it. So, like I said, I actually went to the doctor, like, picked out the implant size, blah, blah, blah. Like, I literally was about to get it done. And then, like I said, one day I decided to myself and I was like, Kyra, like, if you can't tell your husband, then it don't need to happen. But again, I wanted to share that because I wanted to let other women out there know that even if you have those thoughts, or you're second guessing your body, or even considering getting some sort of work done, it's a very normal feeling. Like, we all have things that we want to fix. Like, that's a normal feeling. It's just a matter of if you are, or if you dislike it enough to really go and get it done. I still 100% believe that God made you the way that you are. 100%, like, flaws and all, like, you are who you are. You're made the way you were, for a reason. Which, again, I had to kind of remember and remind myself and really pray about it and like just really think about it for a while. From our body sizes to our weight to our skin tones to our shapes to the texture of our hair, the color of our eyes, all of that was created for a reason. But again, I also believe that what a woman does with her body is her business. And I'm not anti someone choosing to do something they want to do with their body. That's their body. That, again, is something I really wanted to share because I actually had shame in even admitting that I did even slightly want something done for a long time, just because it's something that's so taboo. It's just, no one talk about it, blah, blah, blah. But yes, sis, I go through the same body struggles that you do. I have looked in the mirror and been like, ooh, like, that ain't cute. Like, or you need more of this. And I have absolutely been there. I'm not ashamed of those things. And I want you to be able to be vocal about that and be able to share that and not feel some sort of stigma around it, because y'all, again, can't shame the unashamed. Period. Y'all have no idea how I feel right now. Like, I almost want to cry, because those are things, like I said, those are things that I have, kept in for like the fear of what people may say or whatever, but not anymore. Like, I love who I am, don't get me wrong. I literally love who I am, but I feel like this is like gonna propel me into like a whole different ministry that I don't even know about yet, but it's gonna really do someone some good. So that is it for the video, you guys. I would love you guys, if you have the courage, I would love you guys to leave a comment down below sharing one thing that you have always been afraid to say, but that you have felt or experienced or done, whatever it is, to just release it. Like, just leave a comment down below and just say the one thing that you've been holding on to. Just let it go. Just release it. Just say it, type it out, push submit or send or post or whatever, and let it go. All right? So that is it for my video, you guys, and I will catch you guys in my next one. Bye, y'all.